and I'd like to announce the working class fighter.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks to Tabitha and Steve and the folks at AML here who are hosting us tonight, and to Eva for such an excellent speech, kind of portraying what it means to run a real campaign for working people in the city of Minneapolis. To Ryan Timlin, too. I mean, I think it's really exciting. We should give him another hand. The president-elect of ACU Chapter 5. It does a lot to me when, you know, especially during an election season, people can bring up kind of transit issues or small business issues or issues of working people and often just give lip service to them. But to have folks like Ryan actually organizing on the front lines, Andrea with Transit for Livable Communities, actually trying to fight against cuts at the state level to our transit, while they're also proposing, you know, fare increases that are like a de facto tax on working people. This is the kind of thing that we're going to be facing, not just during the Trump administration, but over the next 4 years, potentially, in the city of Minneapolis. So what does it mean to actually have real fighters for working people on our city council? What can we do with a position on city council that is going to be unapologetic about constantly fighting for the needs of our communities? To me, that's building off of what we already established in the $15 minimum wage campaign. That took pockets of organizing all across the city of Minneapolis. That was, you know, communities that were coming together to talk about the type of policy we wanted to win, what it meant to actually raise wages for 71,000 workers. Yeah, this is real fire on the table, so people should watch. It's a little mishap. I don't know if everyone else can see it, but anyway. But to me, that's what it was for me about as the executive director of 15 Now Minnesota. I played a leading role in building a coalition of community groups, of small business owners, of faith groups, of people all across the city of Minneapolis, workers like Steve and Ryan, people who came together to have discussion about what type of a minimum wage policy we needed to see, and the fact that we didn't want to have carve-outs. We wanted to make sure every single worker was covered and would get to a $15 minimum wage. And even with that, there was a constant battle against the downtown council and the Chamber of Commerce and folks who often say that small business is the problem, but they're the ones who are so frequently actually squeezing small businesses. The ones that are squeezing people out of the city of Minneapolis because for-profit developers are making money hand over fist in our city and not actually building adequate affordable housing, and in fact are pricing people out of the city right now. When we're looking at what it means to actually confront a housing crisis and not have folks like Steve and friends banking on the fact that his tenants who he's exploiting cannot possibly find another place to live, to me, this is what the battle is over the next 4 years in the city of Minneapolis. How do we make a city that is truly affordable for everyone to live and work in? And we've seen that this let the market decide approach hasn't worked. You know, when it comes to the question of fighting for rent control, fighting for taxes on big developers to build the affordable housing we need, again, I think about the $15 minimum wage. City Hall told us it was illegal, then they told us it was impossible, then they told us it was too high, and then we won, right? And this is part of why I'm running as a member of Socialist Alternative. I want to build a political alternative in the city of Minneapolis that makes 15 the first chapter in a new history of a city that is truly built in the interests of working people in Minneapolis. Yes. And let's be clear, I am willing and able to work with anyone who wants to move forward concrete initiatives to improve the lives of working people. But what we need in City Hall right now is someone who's ready to fight, lay down a marker, and say, this is what we're going to organize around. We need folks who are ready to work with communities both inside and outside of City Hall. It's about building power in our communities and not just relying on a sort of insider politics inside the city of Minneapolis. Because, again, what we experienced in City Hall over the last few years was a status quo politic that was unwilling to accept that working people needed higher wages, that we are actually facing a crisis of affordable housing, and that there is not room in the city of Minneapolis for Trump's misogynistic, anti-immigrant, xenophobic attacks. So again, I will work from the local to the state level for progressive public funding for education, for mass transit, and for our social services. But again, we cannot just give lip service to small business and other forces during an election year. I'm on the Workplace Advisory Committee that's actively working with small businesses in the city of Minneapolis and working people and other groups to actually be able to implement the $15 minimum wage policy in a way so that workers know what their rights are, and that actually deals with the question of small business never getting any real support from the city of Minneapolis. That to me says a lot. Again, things can be used as lip service, but it's about how do we actually fight. And to me, what's exciting about this campaign is the fact that now we have these mailers, this isn't the most exciting thing. We're building up a lot of power in our communities to actually combat the folks like at the Downtown Council and the Chamber of Commerce and developers like Steve Min, who find it necessary to start these corporate PACs, right? And use Republican outstate money to try and funnel more money into call me out as saying that my plan for Minneapolis is nuts. Or that all of these different things on the back of it that are just a series of lies basically saying I want to raise taxes on regular working people. Have you heard anything like that here tonight? Because what I'm talking about is actually taxing the rich and the big developers to build the affordable housing we need in the city of Minneapolis. To me says that they're very scared. They're very scared of the fact that we've raised over $140,000 off of grassroots donations in the style of Bernie Sanders. They're very scared of the fact that I have committed, like Bernie Sanders, to only accept donations from regular working people, not big developers and big business. That to me is how working people in Ward 3 primarily, but in the city of Minneapolis can know I'm going to fight tooth and nail for their needs in City Hall, and that I'll continue building in our communities for what it is we actually need to have in the city of Minneapolis. That means that, again, yes, we can't be bought. Our campaign cannot be bought. We are not for sale. And that is really scary to folks that think that they can manipulate the political process by just flooding big business money, flooding corporate money into the city of Minneapolis. This is really exciting to me, too, that we can potentially build a new type of politics in the city that puts the interests of working people over the interests of corporations, that can really stand up and be a city of resistance to the Trump agenda, that can be a sanctuary city in the event that it is a city that is truly affordable for all people to live and work in. That is the type of politics I think we're trying to build here. That's why I'm so excited that you're all involved with this campaign. We only have so many days left. I would love to make history in the city of Minneapolis. I would love to be elected to the Ward 3, as the Ward 3 representative on the city of Minneapolis City Council, as a member of Socialist Alternative. And I think what we can build in the coming years, as far as a real fight back against big business, against the reactionary Trump administration, I think we have real opportunities here. Thank you so much for being part of this.